Today I'm going to be watching this video. It's called 5 Polish Habits Americans Wouldn't Understand, Cultural Differences. So yeah, these are Polish habits. I don't know if these are applicable to everybody in Poland. If you're from Poland, tell me what you think about these habits. Are these things that you practice? And yeah, always interested to see things where you see differences in cultures from different places. So this is comparing to America. Let's watch this and we can see them.
Dzień dobry, cześć, hello. Today, guys, we're going to be talking about 5 Polish habits that I think, for the most part, Americans wouldn't really understand. So before this video gets started, I just want to say that most of these are really just generalizations and they're not completely 100% true. So anyways, guys, let's just get started. So the first time I was walking around in Poland, I saw a babcia walking around with a plastic bag, and the plastic bag had an H&M logo on it. So I'm thinking, wow, this old lady is actually shopping at H&M. I was so shocked, but no. In reality, this lady is carrying around this plastic bag basically just to reuse it and to transport stuff from place to place. So I actually found this really interesting because I saw a lot of other people were using bags, and then the first time I actually had to pay for a bag, I was shocked, and it's not something that we have to do here, but stores are now starting to implement that. Like Lidl is starting to do that, Aldi's is, I think, as well, and I hope Walmart does eventually, because honestly it's a really good thing that we should be doing, is basically just charging people for the bag, and this is going to incentivize people to basically just use more reusable bags, and this will be better for the environment. So yeah, and I think Polish people all in all are more resourceful due to like communist times when they, didn't have the options to everything before. They basically had to be creative about what they were doing, and because of this, I think it's made Polish people a lot more resourceful now, especially. Alright, so the second one.
Yeah, so is that something you do? I think that's not just a Polish thing, I think that's quite a European thing. Being from the UK, people definitely do that. Over the last couple of years, supermarkets have started to charge, I think, like 10p, 20p sometimes for bags. Do you have to pay for plastic bags in the supermarkets in Poland? Is that why people do that? But again, it's very environmentally friendly. It's good to think about things like that, and it's just very frugal and a good way to like manage your money and care for the environment. Funny that it was an H&M bag that she was actually using. I think a lot of times people use those like I don't know, it's like a different material bag, like those bag, I think they call it like a bag for life or something like that as well. So yeah, tell me if that's something you practice. And are Polish people are they good at recycling? Are they environmentally conscious?
One is hardworking, and on average Polish people work 42.5 hours a week, compared to in the US that's 33.5 hours a week. So yeah, this
low
is
in
quite
America.
different. And honestly, I was shocked to see that the average amount of time worked a week is less than 40 hours in the US. Honestly, I thought that was more, especially with some of the jobs that I've worked at, especially in construction. In like the summertime, you're working over 40 hours a week guaranteed. So yeah, that was quite interesting to see. But yeah, Polish people work on average a lot more than Americans. Let me know your reasoning down below. Is it simply because they have to work so much simply to pay rent, or is it because they're working so much just to work so much? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'm quite curious. Alright,
So again, being from the UK, our kind of standard weekly hours I think is something like 37.5 hours per week. Most contracts have that as the amount that you have to work. I thought for sure America would have been a lot more. I've heard stories about people working in America, and it seems that they're just always in the office, always having to work. The thing with regards to Poland, I do know of that stereotype of Polish people being very hardworking. I've seen it for myself, for Polish people who have came to work in Scotland that I've worked with. They just get in there and they work hard for their full shift. And yeah, I guess that reflects in the amount of hours. Do you agree with that? Do you think that's a fair stereotype? Do you think everybody in Poland has that similar mentality of just working hard? I'm sure maybe there's some people that don't, but in general, it seems like Polish people are very hardworking and take pride in their work, I think.
The third one on this list is hospitality, and this is honestly my favorite. The first time I went over to Poland, I was greeted with the most amount of hospitality I've ever had in my life, and honestly I was so shocked. It was like confusing because I walk into the door of my girlfriend's house and there's like drinks, food laid out all over the table. Everyone's there greeting me. It was kind of overwhelming for me, but at the same time it just felt so nice, and it was just such a kind gesture to have and to feel, and it was just very amazing, very nice. But yeah, honestly, it really just sets the vibe. Every single time I go there, it just feels so nice and welcoming every single time I go. And I mean, I've felt hospitality in the US to some degree, but it is not even close to what I have felt in Poland. Definitely not even close. Like, people aren't all over you, welcoming you, you know, giving you drinks and stuff like that, making sure you feel welcome. It's not to the degree that Poland is, and because of that, it really sets Poland apart from the US.
Yeah, so again, that's something I've seen in a lot of videos. It's about that Polish hospitality, how hospitable Polish people are, the older generation always wanting to feed people who come to their home. I think it's like a great thing. I think every country, the world would be a better place if every country had that similar mentality, honestly. But where does it come from? Is it something that's taught to people from young? Like, do parents teach their children to be like hospitable, friendly people? Is it just following by example, like seeing your parents, your grandparents being hospitable, so you want to do the same? And is that fair? A fair representation of all Poland? Is every Polish person, again, like, they all have that mindset?
So the next one on this list is being into nature, and yes, this is kind of generalizing, and there's lots of Americans that are into nature and things like that, but Polish people are really into foraging, like mushroom foraging and blueberry slash like berry foraging, currants, and you know, all of that stuff. And this is really not as popular as it is in Poland compared to as it is in the States. And seeing people into mushroom foraging and blueberry foraging honestly makes me think that this is probably stemmed from the communist era, when food was really on rations and people, you know, had to stand in line for food and they were only allowed a certain amount. I'm guessing that, you know, you could basically just go in the woods and find your food there, and in some cases that was probably easier. So I'm guessing it stemmed from that, but I'm not completely sure. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think. And yeah, this was definitely something that was really interesting to me, because I've never seen or met an American that's ever said, you know, they like to go mushroom foraging or blueberry foraging. I've just never really seen it. I know some people are definitely into that and stuff, but it's just not as popular as it is in Poland. Or it's
Again, that's actually something I've never seen mentioned on any previous videos. So is that something you've did before? Do people in Poland do that regularly? People in the UK do that. We have a lot of nice nature, a lot of forests and things. There's a lot of natural food that people can collect from them. But I think it's not from the fact that people come from poor backgrounds. Is that you seem to find it's maybe more people who are a bit more affluent, who want to like cook fancier food, so they go and forage their food and present it nicely and things like that. See a lot of like fancy restaurants doing that sort of thing as well these days. But yeah, is that true? Do people do that sort of thing in Poland quite often?
The last one on this list is sincerity, and honestly I feel like Poles are the #1 winners of this. So, you know, I feel like in America everyone has kind of like a poker face going on. You can never really tell truthfully under the surface people's emotions. You know, I feel like in the US everyone has this poker face of ha ha ha, I'm happy, everything's great all the time, I just got shot, I'm so happy, everything's great. And honestly it's kind of ingrained in the language. Like, if you just ask someone, hey, how are you doing? Oh, good, how about you? And really you're not good, you know. So it's kind of a part of the language as much as it is our own, you know, culture, I guess. But now comparing this to Poland, this is much different. I mean, you can walk down the street, you're not going to have someone smiling at you and faking their happiness for you. Or, you know, if you meet someone and they're smiling, you know that they're actually happy, versus, you know, if they're frowning or they're upset, you actually know they're upset. So yeah, it's just definitely different than in the US. And I feel like it's really nice because it's way easier to read people in Poland than it is in the US. Like, you can just talk to someone and on the surface level they're doing great, they're so happy in all of this, but then like underneath the surface they're completely not. So yeah, it's just a big thing in the US compared to Poland, is that, you know, Polish people are way more sincere with how they actually feel towards you and just how they feel in general. So yeah, this was something that was really cool, honestly, and something I actually really love about Poland and Polish people. Alright guys, so that was 5 Polish habits that I think America.
Yeah, so again, that one I have heard before. Like, I've heard that Polish people are very straightforward, very honest. I think that could be also said to be the same for quite a few different European countries as well. So maybe it's just like a personality trait that a lot of Europeans share, but Poland definitely seems to be one of the most like most popular for being sincere. So I really appreciate that. I think it's a great trait. Tell me what you think about that one as well, and tell me what you think about all these Polish habits. Are they all fair? Do you relate to all of them? Is there any other interesting Polish habits that weren't mentioned on this that you think would be interesting to know? Thanks.